Hello, good day, one and all. Thank you very much for joining me today for another episode of Allan's Leadership Edge. Today is a little bit special because I want to do something slightly different, and it was suggested to me to try and have some sort of a visual. Now, I have been doing YouTube. So for those of you that have seen that and have visited it, thank you very much. And I am trying to do elements with it. So I am setting this one up, I guess, a little bit more geared towards YouTube because I'm going to have some visuals that you're able to see. So do head over there and have a look at it. But the concept of what I'm talking about today is still perfect just for the audio, still perfect just for Spotify. It's no problem at all. But today is also slightly different because people have been saying to me that they haven't been engaging with my podcast because they didn't feel the content was relevant to them. And I fully appreciate that. I think that's fantastic feedback. And I think because of that, I wanted to look to do a new season. So I think this might be the last episode of Allan's Leadership Edge. And I want to try and have a new focus in a new season and actually start thinking about, I guess, real world problems, because everything I talk about, everything within the previous podcast that I've gone through, it all relates to everyday life. Whether you're at work as a leader, work as a team member, whether you're at school, at home, I truly believe that everything I've talked about has real world application and it really will benefit you just as a human being. So I want to try and do something different for the next episode and actually kind of move forward with that so that we can look to get something slightly different. So for today, I am going to introduce you to something called VESPA. Now, I'm not talking about the actual Italian scooter. They're very nice, but that's not what I'm going to relate it to. It's related to verbal communication. Now, I'm a big believer in emotional intelligence. As you probably know, I'm a big believer in the power of words. I'm a big believer in effective communication. And actually, VESPA is a great tool to help you to start identifying with VESPA, to see how we're communicating. Are we doing it effectively? And it's broken down into 5 different sections. And I want to go through that with you to give you a little bit of an idea and understanding of what VESPA means and how you can apply it. So let's have a look at it. So why VESPA? VESPA is a great tool. It's a great model to help us to reflect on how we're communicating. It is worthwhile noticing, it is worthwhile noting that VESPA itself is related to verbal communication, and the aspects that we're about to look at all relates to that. And it is about helping to make sure that the message, the communication you're trying to give lands with impact, lands with clarity, lands with connection being built in those relationships. But ultimately, it's about effective communication. It's about your communication being effective and getting the most out of what's necessary and what's needed. So the first one is volume. So it is how quietly, how softly, how loudly you speak. And it has a big impact, on how that message is received. If you speak too quietly, the message can get lost. But also people can get frustrated because they ask you to repeat yourself, not once, not twice, maybe 3 times. And if people are starting to do that, they're going to lose interest. If you lose interest, you've lost your audience. So not speaking too quietly, too softly is going to be a good way to get a message across. But flip that on the other side, too loud can be aggressive, domineering. So we need to be able to adjust to the audience, to the topic, to the size of the room that we're in. Even if you're doing it virtually, have you got a good microphone? Does it pick up all the sounds? Do you need to speak a bit louder? Is it muffled? So having the right equipment, having the right ability to see what you need is key. A nice simple practice for this is to use a sentence, and I'm going to use a sentence later on, which I think will be good throughout the whole of this. That sentence is very simply, I never said you stole my money. And we're going to use it at different places. But what I want you to do here is I want you to use that same sentence and say it 3 times. The first time I want you just to say it quietly, as if you're sharing a secret. I then want you to do it in a normal conversation voice. And then I want you to project it as if addressing a large room of people. And what you find is that that message, that sentence will change. The message that you deliver will change. Because you've changed the level of which you're speaking in the same room, that message will change. So obviously in a bigger room, you're going to need to speak louder, get it across. So that's fine. That's not a problem. But we can still speak loud without shouting. And it's how it's perceived by others that makes a big, big difference in everything else that we're trying to do and trying to achieve. The next part is energy. So energy or enthusiasm, but it is about the energy that you bring to the words that you're saying, how you bring energy to what it is that you're doing. I'm a big, big believer that I'm engaging in my sessions. And although I deliver a lot of virtual sessions, pretty much every person says that they're engaged. They're there because they want to be there, but ultimately they're there because I give a level of energy, a level of enthusiasm. And that builds with people, because if they can see I'm excited, if I've got the energy, they're going to build into it as well. They're going to believe it. They're going to see it. So the impact of low energy is going to lose the audience attention. And if I sat here right now doing this podcast, just sat back, relaxed, or if I did a session, just kicking back, feet up, people aren't going to be on it. People aren't going to feel that energy. They're not going to feel that I want to be there. And if they don't feel I want to be there, they're not going to want to be there anyway. So having that high energy will create memorable moments, will create points where people will be able to look back and reflect and say, yeah, actually, we took something away from that. I'm a big believer in laughter. I think laughter is a key way to learn. It's a key way to get through life. And I do believe that it doesn't matter if you're laughing with me or at me, but laughing is a key thing. So thinking about little techniques to give you that energy. I like to use my hands a lot. I find using hands is a great way to get energy into what you're doing, what you're saying, how you're speaking, and just get people involved in it as well. Whether it's virtual or whether it's face-to-face, my hands are always going. When I'm doing a virtual session, I'll make sure that my camera is on most of my body so that you're able to see as much as you can. Simple things such as smiling when speaking. You know, people don't necessarily always believe that you can hear when people are smiling over a telephone call, but I really do believe you can. And that actually, if you are truly listening, truly listening to what's being said, then actually you will hear that smile over the phone and the tone can change. And even with that, just your posture, just being upright, is going to help you connect with people in a different way. If you're slouching, if you're slumped, people don't feel that energy. They don't feel that engagement. So it's quite interesting to deliver. Excuse me. It's quite interesting to deliver something via the use of energy. Now, it's not always easy to practice energy. It's not always easy to kind of to practice that aspect of it, but you can think about the same 30-second introduction and do it twice. And actually what you can do is the first one, you can have it as monotone, but then you can do it with high energy. Record yourself doing it because you'll be able to see the two of them. But one big thing I believe that makes a big, big difference in how we deliver communication is our posture. One thing I guarantee you, unless you're regularly exercising, unless you have good posture, I challenge people to sit up straight for 1 minute and not using the backrest, not using anything else, but just sit up straight with your back straight, your shoulders out, chest out. And actually what you'll find is that you can't maintain that because your body's not used to that position. So you'll go back to a natural slumped position. So engage. Practice being in a good upright position because people will engage with it. People will see that energy and that enthusiasm, and you will develop confidence in yourself as well. If you stand tall, you sit tall, you feel confident. So give it a go. The next part of VESPA is the S, and it's the speed. Now, the speed is very, very important. And I love speaking to people where English isn't their first language, because I admire anybody that can speak a second language. I think it's absolutely amazing. But what I do find is that I'm told quite often that I need to slow down. And actually, the rate at which we speak will have a massive impact on the other person's ability to comprehend that message, to actually get that engagement. It's said that the average speaking rate for effective comprehension in English is 150 to 160 words per minute. But actually, sometimes we need to slow that down. Sometimes we need to think about what it is we're doing and how we're doing it. Great thing to be able to utilize as well are pauses. So having 2 to 3 second pauses between what you're saying is a great length of time for people to reflect on what's being said, reflect on your speech, your presentation, to really get that message across. Don't be afraid of awkward silences, because they're not awkward. They're only awkward because we believe they're awkward. And a silence that lasts for 2 to 3 seconds can sometimes feel like 10 to 15 seconds, but it's not. It's only 2 to 3 seconds. But pausing is as important as the words themselves. You speak to any effective communicator, anybody that does any form of public speaking or speaking to train, to teach, anything at all, and they will all say about pauses. You need to leave little pauses for people to be able to think and comprehend what it is being said. So if we're thinking about the issues within it, if we're too fast, people will struggle to follow. They'll think about what was said 2 seconds ago and not what's being said now. And it's not their fault. They just need to be able to comprehend it. So we need to be able to slow down. Equally, if we're too slow, the mind will wander. Attention will drop. People will lose that engagement, will lose that interaction, because actually we're not able to do anything. We're not able to buy into what's being said. Equally, if it's unchanging, it does create monotony, disengagement. So what I'd like you to, again, is to take that sentence that I gave you earlier. So I never said you stole my money. And I want you to read it at 3 different speeds. Say it out loud. And it's important when you do these, not to do it in your head. You actually have to verbally say them. You have to say it out loud to see the difference. But read that passage, speak that passage out loud at 3 different speeds, and see how the meaning again changes. And actually, it's that interpretation of what people are saying and how they're saying it. Perception is key. If we can look to help people to get the message that is intended, then actually we're going to be okay. We're going to be more successful with it. So just think about the speed. And you think about different things when we're excited or angry or upset. Sometimes the speed goes quickly. I think about my 2 young boys. If they're really excited, it's like 1,000,000 miles an hour. They're really, really fast. You have to tell them to slow down. Equally, if people are unhappy about things or they're unsure about things, then actually they might speak a bit slower because they're trying to comprehend it. So there's a lot that can be said for how people are speaking. But think about your own speed. Think about how many pauses you put into it. And if you find that you're speaking too quickly, then actually think about those pauses, because pauses are pivotal. They are really key to success in communication. The next part is pitch. So with this, we're looking at the highness or the lowness of your voice tone. So the pitch variation creates the melody of speech. If we have just one tone, very monotone, is not going to be good. Again, people will disengage with you as the speaker. They won't want any kind of interaction because they're bored. If you are monotone, it doesn't show you have energy, doesn't show you have enthusiasm for what you're trying to do. So changing your tone, changing your pitch will really allow you to get that message across. And sometimes it will just happen naturally, but also you can put in strategic kind of variations. You can look at where you can add emphasis, where you can add interest or emotional connection. But using your pitch can really convey a message. So raising pitch slightly for questions. Do avoid using that on a regular basis, because it does make people feel there's a lack of confidence that you have in yourself and what you're saying. So you've got to make sure that when you are doing that and you are going at the end of for that question, don't do it regularly, because it can be, as I say, very disheartening, and it breaks down any confidence that you're potentially building as well with that individual. Again, I want you to use that saying that I've been giving. So say the sentence, I didn't say you stole my money, but I want you to do it this time 7 times. And what I want you to do is to emphasize one word each time. So for instance, the first time I want you to do it as, I didn't say you stole my money. Then the next one is, I didn't say you stole the money. And then so on and so forth. And if you do it 7 times, then actually what you'll find is you've said it each time differently. But what you'll be amazed at is how the message changes each time. Every time you put an emphasis on a different word, the message that's being conveyed changes every single time. So you've got to think about how it is that you're able to get that message across. You don't want it monotone. You don't want to go up and down. You don't want to have it high at the end of every single point, because it's going to bring uncertainty. But pitch is key. It really does help to get that message across. Utilized in the correct way, it's going to have massive, massive impacts. The final round is articulation. Now, with articulation, I'm not saying that you need to be able to speak the King's English. That's not what I'm saying at all. But we can speak clearer. We can enunciate what it is that we're saying. We don't have to mumble. We don't have to have our hand over our mouth. We don't have to hide away or shy away. So actually being able to pronounce the words, just be clear in what we're saying. So really think about different elements. Think about how you can speak clearer. And sometimes to get to articulation, it is about slowing down. It is about the volume with which we use. It is about the pitch that we have. It is about the energy that we put into it. But speed for me is a really big one. If we slow ourselves down, give ourselves time to think, give ourselves those little pauses, then actually we're giving ourselves an opportunity to articulate properly. So if you're ever going into a point where you have to do a presentation or anything like that, then do prepare your speech muscles. You can do vocal exercises to break it, to warm it up, or to lubricate it all up. But for me, really, think about that speed. Think about slowing down your pace on technical terms, on key points, but just slow it down, because to slow it down is going to give you that opportunity to again think about what it is that you're saying. If you run to practice use tongue twisters. If you Google tongue twisters, there's loads out there. But it is about improving that mouth muscle coordination. So really thinking about what it is. There's one on the screen for those of you that's viewing on YouTube. For those on Spotify, it's the sick. We see, even I can't do it. So the sick shakes, sixth sheep's sick. So you can even hear just from that, it's a tongue tangler, it's a tongue twister. There's loads out there, but it is about that slowness, getting that message across, really showing people and demonstrating to people that you care about what it is that you're saying. So just bringing it all together. You've had all 5: volume, you've had energy, speed, pitch, articulation. But I guess although I did stress that it's not about the Italian scooter, actually similar to the Italian scooter is that you need all the parts working in it to make it an effective machine. And it's the same here. You need to have these different elements to make sure that you are effective in what you're doing. So a confident speaker, an effective communicator will adjust their volume. They'll maintain energy, enthusiasm. They'll utilize pauses to help with the speed of their information, the clarity of their information. Their pitch will vary for emotion, drive connection, but they'll speak clearly, they'll articulate, they'll enunciate their words. You've got a very simple infographic up there. They're all equal. Your energy, your expressiveness, your projection, your pitch, your volume, all of these things are absolutely critical. So really being able to get the most out of what it is that we're doing, to get the most out of that communication. And when we're all balanced, we can become powerful communicators. So the final thing is just a little bit of practice and feedback. So self-assessment. So record yourself speaking for 1 or 2 minutes on any topic. Review the recording once you've done it, but it can be on any topic, and just relate it back and analyze and reflect on your performance against VESPA. So what was your volume like? What was your energy? What was your speed? What was your pitch? What was your articulation? If you are brave enough, then ask a colleague, ask a loved one, ask somebody to observe that presentation, that 2-minute piece, and just give you feedback, but ask them to look at it in terms of VESPA. And remember that feedback can be difficult to get sometimes, but if we're specific and direct in what we're asking for, then actually we can get what we need. But if we do these elements, and what we're going to look at is the way to develop. And you don't necessarily have to think about all 5 elements at once, but think about some of them. Think about one of them. Most people, I would say, think about speed. Speed is one of the biggest things that people can do to really start helping their communication be effective. Use your smartphone, record it. It's an easy way to do it. So that's VESPA, folks. Nice and easy tool, but really effective. So there you have it, folks. I hope that today has given you some thought processes, given you something to think about, to really apply to what you're doing verbally in terms of your communication, to make sure that you're trying to get the most out of it, to make sure that the people you're communicating to aren't having misunderstandings. They fully get what's needed, they fully understand what's needed, and they're able to get the most out of you. So with that being said, I hope that it has added value to you. I really do hope that you've enjoyed Allan's Leadership Edge, and I hope that you will engage with the new season. The new season of my podcast. It's not going to be Allan's Leadership Edge because, as I say, I want to try and give that broader piece for everybody to get involved with. But for now, I hope you keep well, keep learning, and keep growing. Thank you very much.